Hello and Sat Sri Akal to everyone. Welcome to our third webinar on living donation, focusing on living donation and the Sikh faith perspective. My name is Bishra Riaz. I'm your chair today and I work as the policy officer at Kidney Research UK. So I work within public affairs and policy. I also lead on the Peer Educator project, which is educating the South Asian communities, that's the Sikh, Hindu and Muslim communities, on kidney health, disease and organ donation, that's deceased donation and living donation. Today we are currently focusing on living donation, and thank you to the speakers for giving up their time and supporting us on Thursday evening. Just to say that this webinar will be recorded and will be available on our website, which is www.kidneyresearchuk.org. And I'll also send the link around as well to those that require it, and it will just give people an opportunity to watch it at their own time. And please do follow our social media pages on Twitter and, like I said, TikTok as well now. So without further ado, we'll hand over to our first speaker. So our first speaker is Dr. Samira Bell, who was appointed as a consultant nephrologist in Nine Wells Hospital in Dundee in 2010, after carrying out both her undergraduate and postgraduate training in Glasgow. She was appointed in 2019 as a senior clinical lecturer in the Division of Population Health and Genomics at the University of Dundee, where her main research interest is renal epidemiology. She's currently chair of the Scottish Renal Registry, NHS Research Scotland Renal Network Lead. So we'll just hand over to you, Samira.
Thank you, Bishra, and thanks for the invitation. I'll just share my screen. Can you see that okay?
Yep, perfect.
Great. So I am going to start off with a bit about talking about normal kidney function and what the kidneys do, and then the common causes of kidney disease, followed by the importance of kidney health and why maintaining kidney health is important. And then I'll touch a bit about kidney health and disease within the South Asian communities of Scotland and preventative measures we can do to keep our kidneys healthy, and what the treatment options are for chronic kidney disease. So firstly, in terms of functioning of the kidneys, we all have two kidneys. Most people have two kidneys. You don't require two kidneys to be functioning to survive. But the kidneys have a number of different functions. So the main one is that they produce urine. So they remove the waste products from your blood into your urine, and they also regulate salt and water. They are important for keeping bones healthy as they activate vitamin D. And they also clean your blood by removing drugs. And they produce hormones, and some of these hormones, erythropoietin is important for producing red blood cells. So if your kidneys aren't working properly, you can become anemic, and also for regulating your blood pressure. So they have a number of functions in addition to producing urine and removing waste products. So they're very important. There are a number of different causes of kidney disease, and the most common one is diabetes. Hypertension is also another important cause of chronic kidney disease, and cardiovascular diseases can also have the same underlying processes that occur in your cardiovascular system can occur in your kidneys and lead to chronic kidney disease as well. There are inflammatory causes of chronic kidney disease, such as what are termed glomerulonephritis and vasculitis, and these can lead to kidney failure. There are also certain drugs that can upset the kidneys. The most well-known are probably the non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drugs. There are inherited kidney diseases that run in families, such as polycystic kidney disease, where people will inherit this condition from a parent and develop kidney failure. And there are also certain blockages of the urinary tract, such as stones or tumours, cancers, prostates, can cause blockage, leading to kidney failure as well. So in terms of causes of chronic kidney disease in Scotland requiring dialysis, this is data from the Scottish Renal Registry. This really highlights what the main causes of kidney failure where people required dialysis and transplantation. And you can see in the pink that diabetic nephropathy is really an important cause, which is increasing over time since 1981 over to 2019. So why is kidney health so important? Well, we know that patients with kidney disease are at significant risk of having cardiovascular events. So people who have kidney disease are at a higher risk of having heart attacks and strokes. People are more likely to suffer premature death with chronic kidney disease, and it's up to 10 more times likely than actually progressing to the need for dialysis. So you can see that these cardiovascular events are a major problem. So in patients with more advanced chronic kidney disease, cardiovascular deaths account for up to 50% of deaths in patients with stage 4 and 5 CKD, and up to 50% of patients with stage 4 and 5 CKD are known to have cardiovascular disease. So you can see that cardiovascular disease is really an important factor for outcomes in patients with chronic disease, but also affects a significant amount of patients who do have chronic kidney disease. So in terms of chronic kidney disease in South Asians, we know that kidney disease is up to 5 times more likely in people from minority ethnic groups. And that's partly because there are high rates of diabetes and hypertension, with type 2 diabetes being up to 6 times more common in people of South Asian origin in the UK. Asian people with diabetes are 10 times more likely to suffer from kidney failure compared to white people with diabetes. So you can see what the difficulties encountered by these ethnicities are in terms of chronic kidney disease. So people from South Asian and Black backgrounds are 3 to 5 times more likely to start dialysis than people from Caucasian backgrounds. They make up to 22.7% of people in the UK who are receiving dialysis, but they're less likely to receive kidney transplants, especially living donor transplants, and they wait between 168 and 262 days longer than Caucasian kidney patients will on the list. They comprise of 1/3 of people waiting for a kidney transplant in the UK, but donors from these groups only make up 7.2% of the NHS organ donor register. So you can see the great imbalance that currently exists there. There are a number of issues in terms of affecting patients from South Asian communities, and sometimes there's issues with non-compliance, and this may be due to problems with non-engagement with health services, due to language barriers. There may be limited resources about specific diets, and restrictions due to diabetes and hypertension are often difficult, particularly with different cultures and different diets. Home therapies, we know that people from South Asian ethnicities are less likely to take up a home therapy such as home hemodialysis or peritoneal dialysis, but they're more likely to need a transplant, but less likely to donate. And as I said, people wait longer on the list for a transplant, and as a result they have a poor quality of life with a longer time on dialysis. So how can we keep our kidneys healthy? Well, ensuring that you've reduced your salt intake is very important. Ensuring you keep hydrated, and that's for people who are healthy, but people with more advanced kidney failure may be asked to fluid restrict, as the kidneys, as I said earlier, produce urine, and so if your kidneys aren't producing urine, the fluid can build up and cause problems with breathlessness. So if you're a healthy individual, ensuring hydration is important, but not advice for people with more advanced chronic kidney disease. Not smoking, making sure that you keep active and exercise regularly, ensuring you eat a healthy diet with plenty of fruit and vegetables, and ensure that you reduce your sugar intake, and also make sure that you keep your weight down and avoid becoming overweight. So in terms of how chronic kidney disease is diagnosed, the usual way is through a blood test, and the blood test gives a marker of what's called the glomerular filtration rate, the GFR, which tells you us how well the kidneys are functioning. So this ranges, the stages of chronic kidney disease range from 1 to 5, where 1, the kidneys are functioning normally, and as it goes down to 2, 3, 4, and 5 is where they're very severe kidney failure, where patients will need to transplant or dialysis. So that's when the glomerular filtration rate is less than 15. A urine test is also important because that can indicate the presence of proteinuria. So if you've got protein in your urine, that's an indication that your kidneys aren't working, particularly in certain conditions like diabetes. It's an important indicator of kidney health. So in terms of treatment for chronic kidney disease, treating the underlying cause is important. So whatever has caused your kidney failure, treating that is important to stop the kidney function getting worse and the kidney disease progressing. So if it's hypertension, then making sure that your blood pressure is well controlled, and that if your blood pressure isn't well controlled, it puts additional strain in the kidneys and causes deterioration in the kidney function. Type diabetes control is very important. As long as your diabetes isn't controlled, it will continue to cause damage to your kidneys and exacerbate this situation. As I said, cardiovascular risk is very important, and people with chronic kidney disease are, as I showed you before, at significant risk of heart attacks and strokes. So ensuring cardiovascular risk reduction through exercise, diet, not smoking is extremely important. If your kidney function continues to deteriorate, that's when we would start thinking about options. So in some patients, supportive care may be appropriate. So in elderly, frail patients, they may opt not to have dialysis. But in other healthy people, we would want to prepare them for transplant first and foremost, and dialysis if a preemptive living donor transplant isn't possible. So as I said, kidney transplant is the gold standard. We want our patients ideally to be transplanted before they need dialysis, and if possible from a living donor. And these can be from relatives, so a parent, it could be from a sibling, but it could also be from a partner, a husband or a wife, and we see that increasingly more common. In terms of if a kidney transplant isn't possible straight away from a living donor, then patients may need hemodialysis, and that involves 3 times a week for 4 hours in the hospital, and it takes strain on quality of life, and obviously has a massive impact on patients. Peritoneal dialysis is another option where you get a tube put in your abdomen, and you connect yourself up to a machine overnight at home, which effectively uses your peritoneal membrane as to clean up the blood, to clean up the waste products, using fluid that's drained into your abdomen and drained back out. So in terms of South Asian communities, we know that there's disproportionately low representation for minority communities on the NHS organ donation register. There are some misinformation, and hopefully these kind of webinars will hopefully address that. And also cultural and religious misconceptions, with poor links for community members to reach out to others who've possibly suffering from kidney disease or been through the transplantation process. There's also problems with discussions within families in certain cultures and limited discussions about death, organ donation, advanced directives and wishes amongst family members. So it's important to try and have these conversations amongst your families. In terms of benefits from donating, there are a number of, obviously the benefits to the recipient are huge, but there's benefits to donating in terms of people who donate will have extensive medical workup, and they might help them identify unknown medical problems. Often helps them receive a boost in self-esteem after donating and an increased sense of well-being. It's also leads to developing an improved relationship with the recipient, and it's important to acknowledge that by the person donating the kidney will have significant impact on their quality of life by giving it a kidney to their loved one, as the impact on the recipient's life will be dramatic, and that will thereby impact on their relative. So in conclusion, early detection of kidney disease improves outcomes. Effective treatment and control of diabetes and hypertension is key to trying to prevent deterioration in kidney function and keeping kidneys healthy. Timely and planned kidney support is important, and I think improving our community links and increasing awareness of organ donation among the South Asian community is key, so that we can improve representation of South Asians on the organ donor register, and make sure that we all try and encourage all donors to discuss with their loved ones about their wishes to donate. Thank you for listening. I will stop the share. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Samira. That was really interesting, and again, as always, very informative, and great to share the highlights and the importance of kidney health as well. So we'll move on to our next speaker, which is Kamaljeet Kaur. Kamaljeet, she likes to be called Kams. Her professional background is in accounting and finance. 3 years ago, she changed her career path and currently works in the third sector for a women's social enterprise, delivering and facilitating workshops on confidence building, creativity and well-being. Cam has been volunteering with the Central Gurdwara for the past 14 years through teaching at the Punjabi Academy, organising youth camps, delivering Sikh classes, as well as facilitating and hosting school groups on Gurdwara tours. So welcome, Cam, to the webinar. I think you're on mute, so I'll just...
Apologies.
Yeah, it's okay. We always think still to this day, we're always like, yeah, I'm mute. So I'll just share my screen, so I will get your... so everybody can see that.
Thank you very much. Okay. Yep, thank you. Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for inviting me along to just talk about the Sikh perspective on organ donation. So, Bushra, if you could just go to the next slide for me.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you. So I just wanted to say personally, I've not donated, but I have, obviously once I deceased, I have signed up to donate my organs. I made that decision about 25 years ago. So then, obviously I've been brought up in the Sikh faith, but I wasn't baptized, so I wasn't following the faith fully. So it's only since I came into the faith, started following, that I then thought I better do some research and see that, are we actually allowed to donate or not? And obviously looking through everything, our teachings and everything, you know, I couldn't find anything that says you're not allowed to become a donor, whether that's living or once you've deceased. So it was just to give you a perspective from the Sikh faith. Now, you know, everyone has their own choices and own opinions, but from what my research that I've done and the readings that I've done, I don't see anything that says there's anything against donating. So I'll just start off. So Guru Nanak Dev Ji is the founder of the Sikh religion. This faith was founded 552 years ago in Punjab in India. It's the 5th largest religion in the world. We believe in only one God, and God, or the higher being, or whatever you might call God, is genderless and eternal. And Sikhi is a practical faith, and it's seen a way of life. Now, its main virtue is about equality and simplicity and love to everybody, and it's a universal religion. Currently, there's 20 million Sikhs around the world, with about 0.5 million in Britain. Yep, thank you. The principles of Sikhi are quite simple, actually, and what we're told is how we should practice our life is Nam Japna, remembering God, Kirt Karna, honest living, and Vandge Shakna, sharing with others. So that's our principles. Then it's about, well, how do you carry out those and how do you implement them in your day-to-day life? Next slide, please, Bushra. So the way when I kind of speak to people about Sikhi, when I host talks and things like that, I say, well, if you imagine a bird, so as a Sikh, we should be like a bird. A bird can only really fly high when it has its both wings intact and they're both strong and equal weighted. So for us as Sikhs, our Seva and our Simran should be equal. Now, Seva is selfless service and Simran is remembering God or meditating. So we're going to talk a bit more about the Seva, the selfless service, which leads into kind of organ donation. So Seva, so we're actually told quite clearly how we should carry out selfless service. So this is where we're doing things for others, but not wanting anything in return for ourselves. So it's not about, you know, you want the kind of glory of it or you want it to be acknowledged by people. It's doing it as humility as possible and to serve others. So it's by tan, man, tan. So it's using your body, so physically helping others, man through your mind, so mentally, and tan through your money, through your earnings. Next, please. Thank you. Sorry, if we can just go back one slide, Bushra, just so I can go on that. Sorry, forward. Yep, that's it. So in terms of organ donation, so the key aspect, I suppose, that relates to that is the tan, the body. In the Sikh faith, we are cremated, so we're not buried. So we believe, and our teachings are that this body is once, you know, we come from dust and we turn to dust. So once we leave this body, there's no purpose left for this body. Our soul is then set, you know, goes forward and hopefully to ignite with the higher mighty, with Vaheguru. So that's where organ donation comes into, because if this body is just dust, then surely the most selfless service that you can give is, you know, donating your organs, because there's nothing left of you. So it's not like this body's going to go with you here after this physical journey ends, because it's just your soul carried forward. So if we can just go to the next slide. Thank you. So if we look, so our gurus are our role models. So if we look at history and we look at our Sikh teachings, obviously we can't ever be as high as the gurus, but we can take their teachings and see how we can implement that. So we look at Guru Har Krishna Sahib. So he was our 8th guru and he was only 8 years old. He gave his life during a smallpox epidemic. And it's consistent with their spirit of service that we consider donating organs after death whilst living to give life and hope to others. Now, I know I said after death, but you know, if you are someone that has got such a big heart and that you can do it during your life, obviously that is the biggest gift I think you can give up. And we'll hear that from the next speaker. If we look at Guru Tegh Bahadur Ji, our 9th guru, they sacrificed their life to save the Hindu faith. They helped everyone regardless of their religion, of their gender. So saving life is a seva. I mean, it's the biggest seva that you can do, selfless service, is to save somebody's life. So I think, oh, sorry, I don't know what's happening there. So I think, yeah, that was, so just a quick overview. I don't want to take a long time because obviously I want to hear from the next speaker, but I've not come, like I've said, I've not come across anything that I think is against the, you know, against donating in the Sikh faith.
Apologies, I think I lost connection there, so sorry. Apologies.
That's okay.
Was that okay? Do you want me to share the screen again? Sorry for you.
No, that's okay. No, hopefully everybody got everything that I kind of said.
Sorry, apologies.
No, that's okay. No problem.
Okay, thanks very much, Cam. Apologies again. I think it was
No,
just
that's
my
okay.
connection just went. This with Zoom, it's one of those temperamental things. Apologies again, Cam. Thank you so
No,
much.
don't worry.
As always, your talks on the Sikh faith are always really empowering, and it really helps us understand, the importance of faith when it comes to donation. So thank you again for speaking at the webinar. So carrying on with our with the webinar today, our next speaker is Surinder Sapal. Surinder is 38 years old, born and lived in Southall, also known as Mini Punjab, in a very strict Punjabi household. She went to City University London, where she qualified as a radiographer. She moved to Yorkshire 13 years ago and married and has 2 daughters aged 8 and 12. As a qualified radiographer for the past 16 years, her field of speciality is breast imaging and cancer screening, and she qualified with an MSc in diagnostic breast imaging in 2020. She's currently working as a programme manager in breast screening for Doncaster and Basel Teaching Hospitals at NHS Foundation Trust. In December 2019, while doing her dissertation, she saw the Hope for Anaya Appeal on a Facebook and thought there was no harm in getting tested and helping a child in need. But I'm going to hand over to Surinder, who will speak about her personal journey on becoming a living donor. In conversation as well with Surinder will be Jen Lumsden, who is a registered nurse and has been a transplant coordinator since 1997. Jen completed her PhD with the University of Edinburgh with nurse-led research into quality of life issues in living donor kidney transplantation in 2006. She has specialised in this field for the past 25 years and is working with the Scottish Government to raise awareness and improve equity of access to information in Scotland about living donor transplantation. So I'll hand over to Surinder and Jen.
Thank you for the invitation, Bushra, to come and share my journey with yourself and everyone else that's come. And thank you for Jen, who is going to ask me those questions.
That's great. We're really grateful. Thanks again to the previous 2 speakers. We're very much looking forward to hearing your story, Surinder. Do you want to just give us a wee background of your story, and then we can do some question and answers with that?
Yeah. So basically, how Bushra ended it in December 2019, I was just finishing my dissertation for my breast imaging masters. And I came, just like you do, you go into social media and you go into TikTok and you see things. So I saw the appeal for Hope for Anaya Appeal on Facebook, where Anaya, who's the little baby I've donated to, her mum and her dad had made a video in partnership with Blood NHS Transplant, and wanted somebody to come forward to help their baby, literally be a living donor. So they tested, but were not a match because Anaya had so many blood transfusions that her proteins had changed. So they needed to find a living donor. So I think about 100 people tested for Anaya all over the country. She's got loads of relatives. But then when I saw the appeal, I went and got tested at Leeds Teaching Hospital. And I tested in January 2020, and in February 2020, I found out that I was the best match Anaya's got. So, which was kind of a shock, but then I was so pleased that I was able to do this for Anaya. So, and then I went through the rigorous testing that Samira has just spoken about, the full medical checkup to see that I was a healthy individual who was capable of giving it, whose body was able to handle 1 kidney on its own after donating another one. I was explained all the risks and benefits, and then in September 2019, September 2019. So it was, let me get my dates right. December 2018 is when I saw Anaya's appeal, and then September 2019 is when I donated to Anaya. So it took about 9 months. The journey took about 9 months. And it was a day after my birthday and my wedding anniversary that I donated to Anaya. And that's it. And so far, I'm in touch with Anaya. Anaya is happy, healthy. She's come off dialysis. Her life has changed. Her family's life has changed. She goes to school now. She's doing ballet classes. She's got a sibling. So yeah, and it's quite amazing because I'm in contact with her, right? Just to see that change in her life, to see her grow up. It's just amazing. It's like seeing your own child grow up.
So now that's just a fantastic story, and you must be, you and your family must be so proud of you. Can I ask?
Yeah, they were. I mean, I think initially the family were very unhappy with my decision to donate. And the only person who knew about the donation was my husband and my brother, and trying to convince them to do all this was a bit. It was quite a battle. And we didn't tell anybody else because we knew that nobody would agree to it.
Yes. So when did you tell them that you were going ahead?
As in my husband and my brother?
No, that your extended family.
No, they didn't find out till after the kidney donation.
Wow. And what was the reaction?
I fell out with my parents and my in-laws for about a week.
It's okay.
So they were very unhappy that I did what I did, because I think what they were thinking in terms of is that I've got my own kids and I should have been looking after all my body parts for them or for family, and not giving them to a complete stranger whose appeal I've seen on Facebook. Yeah,
do you know, when we first started having altruistic donation in 2006, I think that's one thing that we did notice. I mean, even within close families, when somebody is going to be donating a kidney to a brother, sister, or somebody close, there's always the dynamics of the other family members concerned about the donor. And I think this can be magnified sometimes with altruistic donation, not so much from the donor because they've made up their mind and this is what they want to do, but the family members just coming to accept that this is their decision. But I suspect that after you'd done it and they realised what a difference that you've made, have they come round now with pride?
Yes, they all came around. I think they came around when they saw Anaya and how well she was, and when they all heard from her grandparents and her parents on how well she's doing. And now whenever I ring anybody, the first thing they ask me is, how is Anaya? And so I'm just like, okay, she's fine, I'm fine too. So yeah, so they always ask me now, how's Anaya? Have you been in contact with her? So which is great.
Yeah. And if you were to obviously you can't do that again, but would you deal with your family the same, or would you advise somebody if they were thinking about doing it to talk to their family very early, or just have to gauge what their own dynamics are?
I think you have to gauge what your own dynamics are, because as Bushra said in my bio, I have been brought up with a very strict, sheltered Punjabi family. And I know my mum and my dad are completely against organ donation, because their view was, if you give a part, or if you lose a part or give a part in this birth, when you're reborn again, you won't get it back, or you'll be missing that part when you're reborn. So the circle of life, the reincarnation. So I think that was usually their thought. And I think with my in-laws, it was more of looking after me, and they just thought I was being selfless to myself. And I wasn't looking after myself, and I didn't consider my health. So I think it was more about, what are you doing?
Yes.
I'm one of those risk takers anyway.
Yeah. Oh, that's so. Just moving on from that, what I think quite often what we feel when somebody offers to give a kidney, and then you've got so many tests to go through, and it's a whole process that can sometimes take months before it can actually go ahead. How did you feel when you heard that all your tests were okay, and that the cross match was okay, that the compatibility was okay, and the operation date was set? How did you feel then?
When I found out my surgery date, I was in Canada at that time. So one of the nurses rang me to say that we've got a surgery date. And I said, what is the surgery date? She said the 19th of September. I was like, oh no, that's the day after my birthday. So that was the first reaction. I was like, oh no. And then I think the second reaction was, can I eat and drink whatever I want before the operation? Because obviously it's my birthday, it's my wedding anniversary as well. And she was like, yeah, 12 o'clock, do all your partying, do what you need to do. So, because I was in Magaluf only 3 days prior to my birthday, partying it out. So yeah. So I was more scared of missing my partying and missing all the fun I was going to have. But yeah, so because I'd made my mind up, Jen, right at the start, when I found out I was a match, I think there was no thought process.
Okay.
I just went through the medical tests as I'd go through for medical tests like we do for our own health.
Okay. So your mind was made up from the beginning. It wasn't let's do these tests and then I'll see. And I think we do see that often with kidney donors, that this is what they're going to do, and actually it can be, you know, if one of the tests shows that they're, you know, it wouldn't be ideal to donate, that can be quite devastating. And I'm sure you probably would be worried about that. You know,
yeah, I was worried about the fact that, oh my God, what if when the MRI scan comes out and it turns out I was only born with one kidney, or I know I'm anemic right from the start since I've had my babies. So what if I'm too anemic and I'm not able to donate? Or, you know, there were little things that were going in my head anyway, like, oh my God, what if this, what if this, what if this? But I think because I'd made my mind up right from the start, and also because I was following the Facebook group where Anaya's parents were posting the progress, it made it even more real, because when they found out that they'd got a donor, they put it on Facebook on how happy they were that they've got a donor.
Oh goodness.
And how their dreams have come true, what they've prayed for. You know, so Anaya's family were at the Golden Temple praying when they found out that they had a match.
Goodness me. Do you think that
for them it was such a big moment, because they were at the Golden Temple to specially request to pray that Anaya gets a match, and their prayers were then granted when they were at the Golden Temple. You know, Anaya's mum rang the family to say, wait, you know, carry on praying, but we've got a match.
Oh my goodness, what an emotional moment.
Exactly. And then obviously they put it on Facebook, and then they never realized that the potential donor was following them on Facebook. So then obviously, because I was seeing all these posts again, so even if I wanted to take a step back, I couldn't, because I was like, this family, I've given them hope.
Right. Now, see, this is such an unusual situation, and one that, because, you know, donations via social media are still quite rare. So either people know their recipient because it's a friend or relative, or they're completely altruistic and they're going into the chain. So your situation is different, and I think that's one thing that we worry about, that you would feel under pressure, because we always say donors can pull out at any point, but that pressure there for you, because you could see what this meant to the recipient family.
Exactly. And also, I think it was till the last minute on the 18th, even on my birthday on the 18th of September, we were told not to leave Wakefield, Yorkshire, to go to Newcastle, because there was an MDT decision that had to be made before Anaya could have this donation, because they were to the brink of it might get cancelled. And then it was like, just wait for the MDT decision, wait for it, let's just wait, let's just see what happens. So my coordinator was ringing me every half an hour saying, they're still in the meeting, don't leave, they're still in the meeting. And I was like, okay, right, I'll eat some cake then, it's my birthday. So, you know, you do things like that. And then suddenly, then at 4 o'clock, the coordinator rang and she was like, Surinder, get your bags ready, we're ready, they've given the full green light and you can come and you can donate. But even till the last minute, till I was on that theatre table, they gave me the voice. They asked me if I was still happy to do what I was doing.
Okay. So you felt you could have still had the option.
Yeah, they gave me the option. Even my brother and my husband, when they dropped me off at the doors in the theatre, even that time they both said to me, Surinder, are you sure you want to do this? And I was like, full on. I was like, I'm ready. You know,
sounds like you were pretty sure.
Yeah. So yeah, and then even the theatre nurse said to me, are you sure? And I was like, yeah, it's fine. Just put me to sleep.
And how was your recovery? Because
recovery was brilliant. Obviously, I work in the NHS myself, so I was told I'll have to stay in hospital for about 4 days to recover and make sure, because I live in Leeds, I had to go to Newcastle to donate, because Newcastle is where Anaya is. and it takes about 2 hours. It's a 2-hour drive. So I think they were really concerned that I'll have to get driven back, and it's going to be uncomfortable. And obviously us that work in the NHS make the worst patients.
Oh yeah.
So I turned out to be one of the worst patients, and I discharged myself 24 hours later.
Okay.
So after donation on the 19th, the night of 19th I stayed, and then I had a big wee. I weed with my only kidney, about a litre of wee. And then after that, in the morning, I had my bloods done, and I was like, I'm going. I was like, I need to go to my own bed. I won't be able to recover in hospital. I was like, these beds don't do anything for me. So my recovery, in a way, was self-led.
Yeah, it sounds like most of what you did was self-led, I have to say.
So the consultant the consultant nephrologist at Newcastle was like, this is the first time in the history of my career I'm letting anybody discharge themselves 24 hours after the operation. But obviously my brother and my husband came fully kitted with pillows and duvets and everything they could pad me up with while I had my drive back to Wakefield.
And can I ask, if somebody, and I'm sure you've had many people speak to you, but what would you say to somebody who has somebody in their family or friendship group has got kidney failure and they're considering donating a kidney, or they themselves are thinking about altruistic donation? What would be 3 top tips you would give them?
Firstly, I'd just say go and do it. I'd be like, just go and do it. It's not going to change your life at all. It's not changed my life. It hasn't changed my health. Like Samira said, it's given me more sense of looking after myself. It's given me and another tip I would go is that you get a full medical checkup.
That's true. Yeah.
What's the harm in that? And also I think it's the self-satisfaction that you've done something for somebody else. Like Cam said, like Sikhism, it's seva, and I'm a big person with seva, and there's a lot of selfless service that I do throughout my daily life and my daily week and my months. So this was one of my selfless service. I'm a blood donor as well, so I donate blood as well. So I just thought, and I would say to somebody, put yourself in their shoes. If you were them, what would you expect? Like when I went to this morning with Eamon and Ruth, Eamon and Ruth were like, I wouldn't do it for my own family, but you've done it for a complete stranger. And I said, yeah, because I'm a mum and I've put myself in another mum's shoes.
Yeah.
And if I'm willing to go out for my kids, if I was in a match, I'd expect somebody to come and be a match for my kids. So I've gone and done what I would expect of somebody else.
Yeah. I think a lot of people would still think what you did was remarkable and a true gift, and that certainly that, and I'm sure hearing how the wee girl's doing must bring a lot of joy in your life.
It brings more joy in my family's life than mine. Okay. Because they were so completely against everything I did. Yeah. Which is amazing, because then I'm like, I told you this was gonna, I'm one of those people. So, and it's worked. So, and that gives me even more joy that now they know what I was fighting for and what I wanted to do and why I wanted to do it. Yeah. And it's not just, my kids now are saying, Mummy, when can we do what you did? When can we save somebody's life? So, and then after seeing my story, I think 2 or 3 more people that I know have donated to strangers. Right. Or have tested to donate. Yeah. So it has changed.
I think that's undoubtedly, the kind of positive publicity like people like yourself bring certainly spreads the word about living donation, and people are inspired, absolutely inspired by hearing stories like you. So, please keep telling the story. I'm aware of time, and I'm sure there are other people that want to ask questions as well. So Bushra, do you want to open the floor to questions? Is that?
Yeah, thank you very much. I know, Surinder, it's such a lovely conversation. You could carry on talking and asking, just hearing all about it. Honestly, Surinder, you inspire me. It's such an inspiration, honestly. Just, a Facebook post, shall we say, and how many times do we click on things and just think, oh, we'll do this, but to actually go out there and get yourself tested and sign up, and then for you to be a match as well, it's just phenomenal. It really, really is. And like you said, so like Jen was saying, to see that change in Anaya, which is just, like you said, being a mother ourselves, we know we would do anything for our children. To be able to do that for someone else's child is just, there are words, you can't explain it. But yes, anybody want to ask a question, please, either raise your hand or do speak out. I'm happy to take anything, any other questions. My only question was, I wanted to ask you, Surinder, was obviously when you donated, I mean, you were saying your family weren't happy and now they are happy. In terms of, how would you feel if your daughter then tomorrow wanted to become a living altruistic donor? Would you be happy for her to sign up?
I'd support her. I would absolutely support her. She signed up to the organ donation register because you're allowed to sign up from like whatever age. So she signed up and she's happy. She's already asked me, she's like, what is the youngest age I can do it at, mummy?
Oh.
So yeah, so they've asked and they want to be able to help people. Yeah,
and I think that's the biggest thing about raising awareness, and and I know yourself as well, you do a lot of webinars and talks on it, on living donation, and especially within the South Asian communities, it's so important. And that's why we have these webinars today, and we record them and we can highlight this. It's really important. But yeah, I agree. Is there anyone else would like to ask any questions on the floor? More than happy to, because we've got about 10 minutes left, and so if any questions out there, anyone else that's joined in?
I can't see the other, I think, is there any hands up there?
Not that I can see, no, can't see any hand. Because there was a question that had come up before at one of the events that we attended, and they'd said to become a living donor, and we always know that faith is such a major issue. People always, if the faith allows it, then people tend to always then agree to donation, shall we say. I mean, I think with Cam, she would probably agree with that as well, in terms of herself signing up as an organ donor. And I think, Cam, if you're still there, I don't know if you wanted to speak about your daughter as well, who decided. I don't know if Cam's still there.
Yeah, sorry, I'm here. I'm just doing dinner as I'm doing this. Multitasking as we do. Sorry, let me just put my camera on. So like I said, so I signed up to be an organ donor, like once a deceased, not a living. I've not yet taken that step. I'm not as strong as you, Surinder, yet. Hopefully, maybe one day. And I had, I did that like 20 odd years ago. So my children didn't know about it. I spoke to my husband who knew. But then I came to seek faith. Then I was like, all of a sudden I had this question. I thought, can you not? I wasn't sure, because it's not discussed in our communities if these things are allowed or not. And there's, like you're saying, I think, Surinder, you were saying, like, your parents had this idea of, like, if you give something from your body, then in your next life you won't have it. And then obviously when I've come into the faith and I've looked at, and then I realised that, well, reincarnation is really not part of our faith, in terms of we hope to not be reincarnated again into human form. But when my daughters kind of found out, initially they were really against me, or because they were teenagers, and I told them, I thought they need to know that these are my wishes, just in case anything happens to me, so at least they're aware of it. And initially they were quite upset that I would do something like that want to have my organs given once I've passed away. And they were like, but they'll cut up your body and things like that. And I said, yeah, but I said, look, we cremate anyway, so you're not going to see a body once I'm gone. Okay, maybe at the funeral, but that's it then. There's nothing to hold on to, and to try and make them understand that this is something that's even something bigger you can do for somebody, or maybe many people, once your life is gone, and make it meaningful. So from that, my eldest daughter, she actually signed up when she got a provisional license. I think they have an option where you can opt in or opt out, it used to be. So she opted in then, and she decided that she wanted to kind of, donate her organs if anything ever happened to her, which I thought was really good. So, and then, we try to have open conversations, and even I kind of been speaking to my parents, so I know what their wishes are. you know, going forward, and hopefully my in-laws and things like that. And I think it's important we have these conversations within our communities and our families, and we encourage people and we let them know that, look, there's nothing against our faith in our faith that says you can't donate, you know. So, and in actual fact, you know, donating is a big saver, like a big service that you can do to anybody, I would say. And honestly, Surinder, I think, you know, what you've done is just remarkable. It really is, because I know as being an Asian woman, you can come across a lot of barriers, you know, and to have that, and you've overcome that, and what you've set for your daughters is something even more bigger. And then for future, you know, generations, I think it's remarkable. It really is. It's really good.
Thank you, Karen. I mean, one thing I'd say is when I started my organ donation, when I started the whole process, not once did I consider or read up on it, on what Sikhism says about it, or are we allowed to donate or not. That it just didn't cross my mind.
Yeah.
And it's not even that I'm not religious. I'm religious. You know, I go to the Gurdwara every Sunday. I do my seva. It's just it's something that just didn't cross my mind to look at what my religion says. I'd made my mind up.
Yes.
So whatever religion said, I think my mind was made.
Yeah.
Whatever my husband said, my brother said, you know, I was going to do it, and that's it.
Yeah. And to be honest, faith is about being a better human, regardless of what you're, you know, and it's about that. It's about humanity and about the love for everybody. So, you know, yeah, like you say,
like later on, everybody's like, your purpose in what God's put you on this earth for, your purpose is fulfilled, and this is probably why God has sent you, because you were meant to help somebody.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, everybody says that there was a purpose of you being. You've made your cloud in the sky now. You know, you've got your place in heaven now.
Yeah.
You know, you've done your bit. And I was like, yeah, well, I've never looked at it that way.
No.
But yeah, it is what it is, and I've done what I've done.
And how was your recovery afterwards? Was it a long recovery?
Recovery was brilliant. Like I said, I've got a really supportive family, and afterwards, for a week, I felt like my body had been in a car crash, because I was just in so much pain. I wasn't able to get off the bed, so I needed like helping getting up and going down. But after the first 2 weeks, everything was fine. I was back to my normal life. The stitches, I had keyhole surgery, so there was no major deformations on my belly. Not that I wear crop tops or anything, but there was no major scars, and everything's healed up really, really well. And I'll be having my second year review this year, yearly review. So from now on, every year I'll have a health check just to see my kidney functions, my blood pressure, diabetes, everything. So everything's clear so far. My kidney functions about 72% at the moment, which is good, which means the other kidneys picked up the other one slack.
Great. Thanks so much. Sorry, I've lost internet connection, so I think I must have missed that little bit, so apologies. I've got Surji, Mr. Chowdhury and Mrs. Chowdhury have their hand up, so I think they want to ask a question.
It's not really a question. I want to say Surinder is very brave. She done a magnificent job. Just to clarify a couple of things, as you said in your people think reincarnation and everything. Yes, reincarnation is there, but the body has got nothing to do with it, because it's ashes to ashes and soul to soul. It's the soul which takes the thing, and in Sikhi we are allowed. So I'm very proud that you came forward and did it. I know a lot of people, because I'm one of the volunteers who has been going around asking people to sign on. We had people who had problems. They were looking for kidneys, but they wouldn't sign on for donating their organs. And they said there is a barrier. I say, if it's a barrier for you to give, it shouldn't be a barrier for you to take them. So you shouldn't be taking other people's organ if it's a barrier. So people have got different myths. And I'm sure in Sikhism, it's a good seva you've done. And we are all proud of you.
Thank you.
So nice. Thank you, Mr. C. Thank you, Mr. Thank you. So if there's any more questions, I think that is there anyone else that would like to ask any more questions? to Surinder or Samira or Jen? If we don't have any questions, sorry?
I'd just like to say thanks very much for all these inspiring speakers. They're really, really interesting, and I'm sure valuable information on the recording for use. Thank you very much for organising, Bushra.
Yes, thank you very much. I know, just finally would just like to say thank you to all the speakers. Thanks to those who have joined. Apologies, my internet connection's been really bad today. It's been one of those days, but hopefully we've got a good recording of the event, and we'll put it together and we'll have that on our YouTube and our website as well. So I'll send the link round to all those that have joined, and also then you can share on with your friends and families as well. But thank you very much to everybody, and hopefully everyone can enjoy the rest of the evening. Again, thanks to everyone and all the speakers as well. Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Thanks, then.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
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 Bye-bye. Thank you very much. Thank
Thanks.
you.